All right, welcome to episode 26 of the Rainier Strength Pod. I am here with the one and only, the Piston himself. Zen has a squat of 1047, a bench of 771, and a deadlift of 760 in the single ply division. He is an elite single ply IPF competitor, gunning for the throne with some really big goals in mind and some really big aspirations, but he's already put up some monstrous numbers, so I'm glad to have him here today. Zen, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on the podcast. And yes, I am gunning for the throne of IPF World Champion, which is the main goal that I have, that you've pretty much put a very fine point on. That is my goal at this time. So that's what I'm working towards.
Hell yeah, dude. It looks like, according to Open Powerlifting, you started real early. 17 is your first documented competition, and it was raw. You were raw for a little bit there. So what got you to jump into single ply, hop into the equipped division with the big boys and put up big weights?
So I live in Colorado. From Colorado, and the meet directors in the state of Colorado, this was back when I was in the USAPL, USCPL being the former gateway to the IPF. There was a married couple that ran the meets out here. They were the state chairs for quite a while. It was Dan and Jen Goudreau. And about 2 or 3 years into powerlifting, about 2019, they did an equipped seminar at their gym in Aurora. And me having just done collegiate nationals, I was kind of in a break of training, not sure what my next meet was going to be. I went ahead and I signed up for it, and I got some very bare bones gear. I got, I think, a Titan Centurion NXG from 25 years ago. A very big Super Katana Loca collar, and then no deadlift suit. We'll get you a deadlift suit, and I never got a deadlift suit. I had to go buy my own deadlift suit from Titan, a Velocity, which was very interesting to say the least to acclimate to, at least initially. Pulling in a deadlift suit has always been a very fickle thing for me until recently.
Yeah, dude, you're putting up some huge numbers. I mean, you're only 26 years old and already squatting a decent amount, over 1,000 pounds. So let me get this right. One of your big aspirations is a 500 kilo squat. Is that right?
That's correct. I chase titles more than records. One of the things that I really am gunning for this time around is a podium position at Worlds, which is in Istanbul. But considering who's coming to that meet, I'm going to need to squat 500 kilos to give myself a fighting chance.
Now, when you first got into the equipment, into powerlifting, was that something that you thought would be attainable, or was it just kind of a foregone conclusion?
Well, I thought it was attainable. My whole
100%.
My whole aspirations, back when I was a teenager, I would watch, are you familiar with the DJ Sky One, all those powerlifting motivation videos
dude.
from 10 years ago? And you'd see these videos, I'd see Dave Hoff and Chuck Vogelpohl and Andrei Milanichev and all these guys squatting over 1,000 pounds. And I'm like, I'm going to do that. No one believed me back then. It was because I was 17 years old. I'm just getting into powerlifting and I'm squatting 450 raw. And here I am I want to squat 1,000 one day because look at these guys. And obviously the IPF lifters as well, Blaine Sumner, Karl-Ingvar Christensen, Joseph Capolino, all the big names from that era were ones that I looked up to. And I always thought in the back of my head that if I worked myself towards it and I kind of built myself and developed it over a long period of time, that I would eventually get there. It took a while. I mean, I'm not saying it came overnight. It's not something that came like that. It took a long time to not only get to that strength, but also get to a point where I could do it to a competition standard. Because, anyone can squat 1,000 high. I mean, I think a lot more people can squat 1,000 high than can squat 1,000 to the IPF standard, or even a PA/USAPL national standard, which I think is a little bit more forgiving because there's no jury review in the same element as an IPF meet. So that's a much different story, but I didn't care. I saw people hitting big weights. And I thought to myself, one day I'm going to do that. I'm going to be on these motivational reel montages, doing that exact same weight. And, I guess it happened.
That's awesome, dude. And you never someone that lacks any sort of confidence, which I love, you know what I mean? So where does this come from, man? Were you kind of like a natural athlete in high school? Where does this confidence come from?
Believe it or not, I never got into sports. I was more of like the video game nerd, like kind of, kept to myself a lot. My parents tried to get me into sports, but I just never like mentally got into it. I'm talking like team sports, like soccer, baseball, football, like flag. Like, this is when I was a kid, so like pee-wee football. It wasn't like, put him on the line right now. Although like my body was definitely bigger than most. I was always a bigger kid. I think when I was 14 years old, I was 6'2" and I weighed about 290, although I was like chubby, but still the height was there and the frame was there. But I just never wanted to do like football or any other sport for that matter. I, really didn't get into anything physical, but I was, a little bit more like overweight, I guess you could say, higher body fat percentage. I mean, I'm a fat ass now, but I'm a strong fat ass. I was not a strong fat ass then. I like, kind of was like, decided to start lifting for general health reasons. And I was doing like cardio as well. Riding bikes was a big thing. I think at like my most out of shape weight of like 320, 330, this is back when I was a teenager, like 15, 16, I was doing like pretty decent length bike rides. I think I rode like my bike 50 miles one day, like a 50-mile bike ride from like, we were going to do Boulder to Denver Memorial Day with my dad and I. We were going to ride our bikes from Boulder to Denver, which is about 30 miles. And then take the bus back. But then we got like sidetracked. We took a wrong turn and ended up like way out east. And we had to backpedal like an extra 10 miles to downtown Denver, where we were going to have our food. But like I accomplished that when I was pretty out of shape. And it's not like a flat or downhill ride. It's like uphill, downhill. There's some pretty wicked mountains in the Colorado area as well, which I guess in hindsight put a lot of strength into my legs before I even got under a bar. Because once I started doing like powerlifting, one of the main introductions to powerlifting, like at the time being a more reclusive kid, was George Lehman and his story about how he was growing up and his like 800 for 8 touch and go deadlift set where the plates literally fell off at the end. I guess like it made me realize that, lifting weights can kind of help me like get some of this angst out of my head and also give me something to apply myself towards. And it did. And I didn't quit it. I didn't fall out of it. It's something that I found peace and confidence in. And it kind of gave me a little bit more confidence talking to people and being more social, because this is something that I really didn't have. Because in high school, I was actually in an online school. I wasn't in a traditional brick and mortar school system. So that's why the sport thing never really materialized. So, it helped me get out and interact with folks. But I guess that like confidence coming into it was like, I took to it very quickly, obviously ignorant to the noob gains concept, but it kept going, I guess. There was a lot of roadblocks along the way in terms of like, hitting plateaus and stuff, but through good program, I overcame them. But to circle back to your original question, I was never really an athlete, I was like a loner nerd, which is completely fine, just not something that I was ever thrust into as a kid.
Yeah. And your recent meet in March with that 771 bench, dude, I sent you a message because I was like, this is one of the longest grinds I've ever seen in my life, dude. Like, it looked like a tempo bench. It was so crazy. So tell me about that 771.
It took about
dude.
8 seconds to touch. From the start command to the press command, I think it was about 7.5, 8 seconds.
Jesus,
I call it the Capolino bench. If you remember Joe Cap, when he would compete, it would take him like 20 seconds to get down to his chest. And half the time it wouldn't touch, but it would like the bar would touch like the very fine fabric of the singlet, and like the lighting looked fine. So the referee was like, fuck it, press, which I kind of feel like happened at this bench. The crazy thing is, in the warm-up room, I almost touched 695. I don't know what happened. Jesus. I mean, like, I guess we like kind of like pulled the shirt a little bit closer to my body and then like latched the belt in a different position, and then suddenly it became like that tight. What we never do is we never really jack my shirt. It's more like belt manipulation and like, maybe like pull the bottom part of the shirt so it's not riding up my stomach as much. Because like when I do like collar tricks, I think I could load like 950 and it still wouldn't go down. Part of it's because of the way I wear my shirts. They're tight. I think that I'm wearing like my chest is like a 56 and I'm wearing a 54 with like really tight sleeves, and it's a Titan low cut katana. So it's like the chest plate is like down towards my upper stomach. So it just naturally needs more weight to touch. And when I'm like arched and I have such a big upper body, I feel like, that makes the material more taut just to begin with when you're in a big bench arch, and like trying to pull it down is like a patient thing that you need to really, really focus in on. I mean, because there's been times where I can touch light, and then there's times that I can't touch like 800, which is like, you know, it's
Yeah.
a fickle thing. The bench shirt, is just, it's a mysterious garment. But my guess is like my upper chest and back is so big that it just makes the shirt tight, even when it's not tight or set tight, I guess.
Yeah, and in that same meet is the 1047, which is crazy. So after having 1047 on your back and squatting it literally like it looked like a second attempt. Like, it was crazy. It was so fast. And then to grind through 771, I think a lot of people underestimate the work capacity that is required for something like that. And we've talked before a little bit about like your programming and training, more of like a Chico volume guy. So kind of elaborate a little bit on what your training looks like.
I'm coached by the legendary James Townsend of Elite Iron Sports Performance. He's been the head coach of the Equipped Opens World Team for a long time, longer than I've been in this sport. And his methodology is very high volume. The reasoning behind it is he believes that, you're doing the squat, bench, and deadlift, and you need to do a lot of it in training to get good at it. You need to become a machine. If you look at how, say, the Ukrainians are a huge powerhouse in equipped powerlifting, and they always been. The way they look technically in a meet, if you've ever watched them, every single lift they do looks the same. It doesn't matter what's on the bar. And the only way that you can get to that point is to neurologically condition yourself to that. So not only is the volume helping your work capacity, it's also helping your ability to repeat technically the same movement pattern over and over again, so you don't misgroove things on the platform, because you're not going to be perfect on the platform. You're nervous. You're in front of referees. You've, in some cases, traveled across the planet to do it. And you need to be locked in. Your body needs to know what to do. Because when you're terrified, you're not going to be like, oh, this is low stress. I'm in the gym, la-di-da, I'm going to PR in front of my buddies, and squat depth doesn't matter. And, if I barely get it and they kind of like grope the bar bait a little bit to help me, it's all good. But there's none of that here. So you just got to become good at it. And I like the high volume as well, because I challenge myself to not only do it high volume, but also quickly. I talked to, you probably know him, buddy of mine, Paul Stein. We always talk about like how quickly we can finish these volume sessions because like the IPF meets are short. People don't realize that you're when you get to a meet, you're going to be out of there in 3 hours. The untested side, multiply side, I mean, God, the USPA side sucks at it. You get there at 9 a.m, you won't be gone until midnight. The meet is all day. It's a commitment. None of that in the IPF. Like, I think Worlds, from like the start of it to the end of medal ceremonies, was like 3 hours, which is not a whole lot of time. And when you compete when you have a higher nominated total, the top 8 nominated totals at Worlds go to what's called the A group. And the A group is in certain weight classes, it's televised, and they televise ours for the super heavyweight men. The only problem is the syndication, because it's on TV. It's on CBS Sports in the US and it's on Eurosport in Europe. You're only limited to 8 lifters in a flight, and your intermission time between squat and bench and deadlift goes down to 7 minutes. There have been times where they have knocked it down to 5 minutes. There have also been discussions at some meets of like, why do we even have the intermission time? We set the bench up and go straight to bench. And then people obviously were like, no, that's too much. That's too extreme. But in the IPF rulebook, it doesn't say that you can't do that. It just says that you can manipulate the intermission time if it's on TV, whatever that is. But usually it's 7 minutes. So you got to be able to continue to move nonstop for 3 hours. There's not a lot of time to sit down and catch your breath. Now, PA Nationals wasn't really like this, but the flight before ours was pretty short and the loaders were fast, so it kind of was. I think we were about 3 hours 20 or so, 3 hours 10 minutes. It wasn't a long meet. I'm glad because I don't want to be there all day. But the caveat to that is you can't be out of shape. When you're, doing a squat, you got to immediately get ready to put on a bench shirt and go for bench. And obviously the adrenaline is still pumping through your body after squatting 1047. I was like, oh shit, now I have to bench. And my body's like, I'm still like, holy shit, I squatted 9 reps. I squatted 9 reps. I squatted 9 reps. You have to cool that down like in 30 seconds, which is hard to do. And get ready to warm up for bench. And then after bench to deadlift, I was like, oh shit, my back is screwed. Like, I'm so sore. But, you just got to power through it.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. The IPF truly is the highest level. Some people are going to cry about that statement. I don't really care. Because
Cope and see that is.
Yeah. The numbers and the standards back it up.
I'm the biggest IPF defender. I don't know if you know what my Instagram record's like. I'm the biggest IPF defender of all time.
Yeah. And it's
I pissed some people off with my Instagram comments.
I mean, you can cry about it all you want, but the standards and the people that compete there, it proves differently. In standards add so much to legitimacy. It is almost everything, right? And the IPF is the standard. They are the highest standard. And as you said, I mean, being able to be proficient with the spotters and the loaders and just being that quick between lifts is also another level of proficiency outside of judging that people don't consider sometimes. So tell me what it's like to compete at that level, like in the IPF. Tell me what you love about the IPF. Big IPF guy.
Big IPF guy. Standards are a big one, like you said.
Yep.
When we had this conversation, if you see an IPF squat on open powerlifting, you don't have to go look at it on video. If you see an 1,100, like an 1150 squat from, let's say, the RPS ball sack meet of the century 5, you know that it's probably not going to look that good. One, they don't walk it out, which some people will cry about it. If you walk out your squats, it's a different ball game as a mono. I could probably take, like, without even trying 1120 out of a mono because it saves that much energy. 2, they're using longer wraps, but some of these people squat so high they don't even need the wraps. Like Rodney Woodward Jr. just nails it on the head. If you squat to that, like, non-standard of depth, you don't need wraps. You're in 8 layers of denim and canvas. You don't need wraps. But for an IPF squat, if you see that, okay, Carl Ingvar Christensen did a 1080 squat at IPF Worlds, you don't even need to look at it. It's like, yeah, it was probably deep. The standard is not minced. And in a lot of cases, like you've seen now, if the squat is 2-to-1, they look at video replay. And if it looks bad on video, they'll overrule it. I've had that happen to 2 of my squats at Denmark. That was my wake-up call that, you got to look good. But I think that holds people accountable to the lifts that they're doing because they don't mince words with you. And if it's high, they'll red light it. If it's not upright enough, they'll red light it. But the other thing that I like about the IPF is that it's true international competition. There are a lot of federations that put international in their name, but you go to a world meet and there's like 2 countries there and like there's the token Russian guy and like everyone else is from America. I'm like, okay, great. International, right. But when I go to Worlds, there's people from all sorts of countries. Ukraine, Norway's a big team with Quip now, Sweden, UK, like there's people from Chinese Taipei as well, Egypt. There's countries all over the world that are being represented. And oftentimes you have to leave your country to do it. They don't host a world meet in America. Sometimes they have been. They did bench worlds a lot in 2024 in Austin, and they're doing the World's Masters in Reno. But as far as a World Open, they haven't done one in America in like 10 years. So you usually have to travel internationally and deal with the after effects of not only flying to a different time zone, but eating different food. I mean, trying to maintain your body weight when portion sizes are different and they don't put as much bloating substances in their food in Europe because they're all banned for health and safety reasons. It's a little bit hard. I usually lose a couple pounds just from being in another country. I lost a lot more for Romania last year, but we'll get to that. It was from illness, but that's an unrelated thing. But I think that really tests you as a lifter, whether or not you are able to withstand like the highest caliber of not only competition in the world, but the refereeing in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a lot different. And there is a lot of professionalism in the presentation of the IPF. If you go and watch anything from them on YouTube, it looks like an Olympic event. It looks like a very professional production.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that adds a lot of legitimacy to the product. They get a lot of hate for it, but I feel like it's from a lot of people that just can't get in the club in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Right? I mean, there's a difference between going into, like, my first open worlds experience was in Denmark in 2022, going into a sports arena with tiered seats, and you are under very bright stage lighting, completely whitewashing out the crowd. You don't see anything, versus walking out to some random platform at the Hyatt Regency Grand Ballroom A. There's a difference there. When you're lifting in sports arenas, when you're lifting, like you saw the World Games, it was in like a big, like a literal arena, like probably like a 15,000 person arena. Or like in Sheffield, we're talking about Raw here now, but Sheffield being in a theater, but they're moving to a full size arena. These things make you feel like you're a real full-on athlete, and you're not just like lifting for a small ballroom. You're lifting to a giant, opulent venue, which I feel like the IPF really captures.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things that go into like being a world champion, being a champion in general. And one of the things that's cool is that in powerlifting, you have a lot of different avenues you can go down, right? Raw, single ply, multiply. But you are like the single ply, the face of single ply, to be completely honest. I mean, right now, when a lot of Americans look at single ply, they look at you. So steel man for me, the argument that single ply is the way to go versus like raw or multiply.
Single ply is the way to go. I think that it's enough compression to save your body in the long run, but not too much that it starts to look like a circus act. The problem with equipped powerlifting in the mainstream is they see it, and there was like I forget who said this in West Side versus the World. It was like when they were talking about like the raw powerlifting as it's getting more popular. It's like there's this guy who's talking like, yeah, you see me come out here with this diaper suit on. He's referring to a Leviathan Ultra Pro, or not the old Leviathan.
The OG.
The OG, yeah, the canvas one. The Leviathan Ultra Pro, I call that the goddamn Chuck Taylor Classic because it's got all the shoelaces on the sides. But no, it's like you see me come with this diaper suit on, and then people are like, what is that? Is that a diaper? Is he going to take a shit? But like single ply gear looks reasonably like a singlet you'd see.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit more stiff, and you're wearing wraps, obviously. That's the main difference. But like standard's the same. You're going to lift in a similar movement pattern. And in my opinion, it keeps your body going longer, because the compression takes some of the pain off your joints and the load off your joints without like manipulating the movement so unnaturally like a multiply lift would or an unlimited lift would. Not to say that, there's not a lot of good figureheads in unlimited or multiply, but it's very different.
Yeah, it definitely is. That was Tony Ramos in West Side vs. the World that had said that.
That's who it was. I didn't know. The name escaped me, but I know that he said that.
Yep, that was Tony Ramos. Very famous quote there from Tony. But have you ever... I mean, once the 500 kilo squat falls, once the world champion title comes and you wear that crown, have you ever thought about what's next? Are you going to stay in single ply, defend the throne, carry it further? Are you going to go to multiply? Are you going to go to raw and shut all those little idiots up that say it's all the equipment?
I'm probably going to stay in single ply until I get to 1,300 kilos. That's my lifetime goal. I don't like to think about numbers as much as titles or as much as championships, because you could have, in my opinion, your best total isn't often your best memory. You could win worlds off a non-PR total if the right people screw up. Look at Joe Cap. Andrei Shevchenko, who was the favorite to win that meet, bombed out on bench. So did I. Lithuania 2023, I bombed on bench. I couldn't touch my chest in the bench shirt, and I just bombed. But that was Joe Capolino's time to shine. He had a 1087 kilo total, which the best he's ever done in his life is 1170 at the Arnold in 2019, but he didn't win worlds off that. You could
Yeah.
win worlds off a non-PR total, if, the right people slip, or, you have a better meet and execute better than whoever shows up, you can just slot right in there. But as far as numbers are concerned, the big one in my head is 1,300. And that's because Blaine, at the meet where he broke his spine walking out a squat, is that he got to 1296. Now, I want to preface that with the rule that the USAPL had, which the IPF still has, with the head off the bench and all that. If he hadn't had to deal with that, he probably would have made at least one of the 1,003 benches. You don't realize this. He opened at 940, got it, and went up to 1,005 twice, but had these technical misses. Like, with that, it would have been ridiculous. It would have been I believe like a 1330 almost, 1325 total, which is absolutely out of this world nuts for single ply. I think that's like 2,900. But 1,300 has never been done in single ply, and that's really what I want to try. And I think that, if I push more on my squat and bench and just let my deadlift naturally fall into place, it is doable down the line, but I'm not thinking too deeply into that because my main priority is winning worlds at least once.
Yeah.
I also want to do the world games. I missed out in a really bad way in 2024. Jesse Badeau got the formula at North Americans. And I went for a deadlift, a huge attempt at 777 to get best lifter, and I got it to my knees, and that was it. So he got it. So I was like, shit, I'm salty. Especially when I see like the shit they got. They got like the catered meals. They got like the arena treatment. They got the BYD chauffeur from the airport. They got all that cool stuff. I'm like, oh man, I want to be able to have a world's credential, like a badge from a meet that's like that big with all these QR codes, like you're in the Olympic Games access points. I'm like, man, that looks legit. But I'll have to try again in 2029, which I'm thinking I'll make it that far. It's only 3 years from now.
Yeah. And you're still so young. I mean, that's part of the crazy part about this. Your numbers in general are impressive, but once you have caveats, like one of them being your age, another one being the fact that you're drug free, it starts to just make the bright light even brighter, which is fucking wild. And one thing that we touched on just a little bit, is bands and chains and how you're not a fan of them. So tell me why you're not a fan of bands and chains, because I have some people on here that love them, but I also have some people that are like, no, I hate them, I don't use them, I think they're dumb. So tell me what your opinion is.
I'm lazy. That's part of it. But also, like, the way I train is so specific to the movements that we do in comp. The variations are very few and far between. Like, we'll do pause squats, we'll do like SSB occasionally, but like, and we'll do pause deadlift and block deadlift, but like accommodating resistance is just like, I don't know. I don't see anything wrong with them. I'm just not a fan of applying them to my training because I'm so used to like specificity. For me, like bands, what I found, like calculating the resistance itself can be a little bit of a challenge. I do admit I like to use bands for accessory work, like 45-degree back extensions with like a mini band folded over on your neck is like a really good way to pump up your back and get a good development in your posterior chain. But as far as like attaching it to a bar, part of it's just like inconvenience as well, because you got to think, in the gyms I train in with like combo racks and stuff, there's really nowhere to put them. Platforms, like they're just like those big carpeted ones. There's really nowhere to like attach band pegs, so it's not like I have anything wrong with them training wise. I think that it's a good tool for a lot of people. It's just like I don't feel like going through the rigmarole of setting them up, especially with how high of a volume I already go through. It's like, that's enough. That's okay. Yeah. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it,
Yeah, exactly. So how many days a week are you training?
I train 4 days a week. And that's divvied up.
What does that look like?
Okay. I have 2 squat days, 2 deadlift days, and 4 bench days. So every day I train, I bench. So yeah, 2-2-4.
Hell yeah.
Not a lot of people my size do 2-2-4. But I have a good rhythm with it, so I stick with it. When I'm in gear, when I'm doing a equip prep, we are in gear every week. And that's all 3. I know some people do 1 week in gear, 1 week out. I used to do that. What I felt like is I didn't develop enough foundational skill being in gear that scarcely, to really progress better. I think I'm close to a point now where I could do that, but I like being in gear every week leading into a meet because I can just like progress it more naturally instead of trying to stair step it. And then with bench, we usually do like a ram day and then a shirt day. And I love the ram. I have a
Me too.
I have a regular ram and then I have a supercharged ram. The regular ram is just like whatever I can touch and go. Basically, I can pause. It's not a whole lot of support. My supercharged ram, I've done 705 for reps off a board in that thing. I'm like, this is like a band shirt, dude.
Yeah.
But, you know, Ram's the way to go for bench shades. You know, shout out Titan. They're a sponsor of mine. But I like the way they're built, and I like the way they feel like a shirt, you know, without having to go into a shirt, because trying to swim that thing on yourself a lot of the times isn't fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and then like out of meet preps, I usually am like 3 raw days with 1 ram day or something like that, and then like raw through and through for squat and deadlift.
Yeah, and a lot of people have a misconception that you know, the equipment does all the work, man. It's easy. I'll throw on a bench shirt and I'll hit 600 pounds, no problem. I'll just throw on a bench shirt. It's easy I could do it. Why is this such a misconception? Just people talking out their ass? Is it maybe the sport being misrepresented
people talk out their ass? Social media gave everyone an opinion in this sport. You know that. People with a 250 dots that just saw the inside of a gym are now selling coaching spots. Like, we are in a horrible situation with that. Half this shit's AI generated now anyways. Let me have ChatGPT write a program and I'll sell it to people. We're in that era, unfortunately. But I think that a lot of that misconception just comes from people who don't understand the skill that goes into the gear. Obviously you do need a strong raw foundation, but to truly get the amount of carryover to hit massive weights, you need to learn how to use the equipment. And you need to do that through consistent training in it with repetition. And people don't want to go through that because it goes against the instant gratification that a lot of people try to find in things. That's why you have all these kids getting on like SARMs and shit. It's because they want to get progress quickly. They want to look better and be stronger in like 2 weeks, 10 weeks, you know. They don't want to wait 10 years, you know. Like, people don't want to be consistent, and like, equipment is not something you learn overnight, and it's not something you get good at overnight. So it's easy for people to just say, oh, the equipment does all of it, because they never put the time into learning it. And they don't, well, some people just don't want to, and that's fine. But, you know, they're not really giving it the credit where it's due of how long it actually takes.
Yeah, and that instant gratification, man, it's a poison for a lot of different things, and powerlifting is no exception to that. I mean, the kids are just like, you know, let me jam this, whatever this is, in my ass, and then throw on some elbow wraps and all this, and then
I hate the elbow wraps so much. I'm a gear whore, but I hate the elbow wraps because, like, you got these like 15-year-old kids who put those on, and then they like springboard 450 off their chest and just look, and their ass is like 20 feet off the bench. And I'm looking at that, I'm like, man, I don't know. I have to look the other way. I can't see that. It's like watching a train crash in slow motion. It was like, you know, I would rather watch Scott Mendelson's full meat career than go through that, including the Harley Davidson commercial. Did you see the commercial where he benched a motorcycle? Dude,
professional powerlifter. Yeah, professional powerlifter. Do not
because you know some redneck is going to do that shit in his garage. I got my Harley here. Which is kind of how Scott Mendelson ended up in the later part of his career. Like that baddest bencher meet from like 5 years ago in Houston, where he like had that 1120, where it's like you're watching his handlers move him. He's like, it feels like he's a dead body. He's like one of those like ventriloquist dummies, and like people have to put his arms out for him on the bar, and then they have to set him up. Then they have to put his feet down for him, and he's covered in stickum and chalk. And then there's 8 people up, out, 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 release. And then he just like gravity takes over at that point, and then he just drops it on himself. And I'm like, dude, wow. I'm impressed he didn't die on that one, but I'd rather watch that than these SARM goblins springboarding 405 in an LA Fitness somewhere in Lebanon, Ohio. I don't know. Making things up.
Well, that's the thing too about the band shirts, man. It's like when you watch the handlers have to move the arm or the hands out. It's like, that's so off-putting, dude. Even
It
for me.
is.
Even
It
I
is.
love Equipped, and I'm like, God damn it, dude.
Move
I'm like,
your
don't
own
show that
body.
part. Don't show that
I don't
part.
like seeing that. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, when your handlers, when you go out to the platform and you have to have people move you, like, you know, equipped can look good for the public. Equipped can look good
Yeah.
for the untrained eye, but it can't look like that. You
Yeah.
can't have 8 people lifting you off and like as soon as the bar's in your hand, you just drop it on your stomach. You know,
Yeah.
it has to look like you're doing the lift yourself. You know,
Yeah.
I think like the classic comparison is the high jump versus the pole vault. You know, it would be like if a pole vaulter had a harness with a crane that would lift them over the bar and the pole's just there. They're just kind of like courtesy holding it. That's what I think of these unlimited benchers where people are like needing help to move their body onto the bench. When you're in gear, you're manipulating something on your body, but it's something you learned over time. Like, you know, try to tell me to clear a pole vault. I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, hell no. I'm not launching myself 20 feet in the air, even with a stick, you know?
Yeah. It takes a lot of time, dude. It takes a lot of time to
does.
learn these things, man.
It
And
does.
you know, like you said, people don't want to put in the time, you know, and it's rough. Also, you have to have a threshold for pain and pressure. I mean,
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, man, getting through an equipped powerlifting meet is a whole nother fucking thing. It's a whole I've only done one. I'm doing my next one in July, and it's a whole nother thing. I was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, this is crazy. Like, I took 2 squats and I was like, all right, I'm scratching my third. Like, fuck, dude. I've been doing raw forever before that, and I was like, this is fucking crazy.
The wraps are the big one people to get used to. They don't want to do it.
Yeah.
They're scared of wraps. I mean, I've been wrapped. The primary person that wraps me in meets is Mike Zawlinski. I think that you did your pod with Jared Martin. He mentioned that he was wrapped by Mike Z at World Games and how it was so tight he thought he tore his hamstring or something. I know that feeling because he wrapped me at Worlds. The problem was he followed the same person through every single flight. So every single round, not every single flight, every single round. The problem was my third attempt jumped me down the order a couple lifters, so I ended up being in wraps for like 2 minutes too long. And his wraps, of all people, he wraps tight. So we were like, oh crap, we're doing everything. Do some calf raises and slap my calves. We're trying to get feeling back to my feet. Cause like he wrapped me and then we get up and then we see like, okay, Chinese Taipei is going on. I'm after him, right? And then Ahmed Hassanin comes. I'm like, and then Mike goes, how many people did we jump? And I was thinking, oh shit, something went wrong here. But I'm locked in. We don't have time. I just have to wait it out. So I go out there, and of course, like, I mean, the spotter loaders, when it gets that heavy, they're trying to get everything right. So like they're counting plates or adjusting the rack and everything. The Romanian team, they kept getting my racks wrong. Like, I'm racks in, but they kept going racks out, so I had to wait for that a couple times. There was actually one instance, it wasn't their fault. The lifter before me, Carter Wheat, who is a cool guy, he was bringing a squat in, and the pin for the rack popped out, and the upright just dropped. I've never seen that happen. I didn't know what was going on. I thought he fell into the bench hooks. I was behind him. And obviously all I saw was like the backs of the spotters and him going like concaved forward. And I didn't know what happened. But they fixed that one pretty quickly because chief referee Mike Gibson, the legend, Northern Irish bench press legend, came up and ran and like lifted the rack up and put the pin back in so they didn't have to like deal with that. But moving on to the next squat, I'm just like, I can't feel a goddamn thing in my feet. I'm numb. I walk out, I can barely unrack the bar because like all the blood is gone. And then walking it out, my stance is all goofy because I'm like, I need to feel my feet somewhat to get my stance correct. And then when I went down, it was all screwed. So it was 3 reds, and that burned because that 3 reds, it took away a squat that I needed to get the podium. I had to reach really hard for a deadlift to get the podium at that meeting. I couldn't, but I would never trade another rapper for Mike Z. He did really good at nationals. He got the order right and it was quick, but every time he raps me, he leaves like scabs all over my knees. Like legitimately, I still have like scarring from his raps from November on the back of my right knee.
Jesus. Do you guys have a knee wrap roller when you re-roll the knees up? Yeah, dude.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, dude.
We bring a stand-up one
Oh,
We bring a
what? I've
stand-up.
never seen
Yeah.
that.
So, yeah, Texas Strength Systems makes one. I don't know if they still carry them, but it's like a platform, and then like there's like a pole that comes up, and the wrap roller's on top, and it gets put together. You can just disassemble it, and it fits in a suitcase. But that makes
Dude.
it so much easier, because trying to clip one of those like regular wrap rollers to like a rack, and then they start
Yep.
sliding, and
Yep.
you're trying to pull the wrap out, and then like it falls off the rack, and it's like,
Yep.
oh, great. Or the ones you
Yeah.
have to sit on top of a hook, like one of the
Oh,
squat stands.
God, yeah.
The old school ones.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Isn't there like this guy called the Rap Rat? He's trying to make a mechanical one, like an
I saw
electronic
that.
one. That's
Yep.
sick. That
Yeah,
saves so
that's
much
fucking
energy.
awesome.
But
Yeah.
that one, but stand up, it would be a great idea. You don't
Yeah,
have to hook
I
it
love
to
that.
anything. Just leave it. And like, actually, believe it or not, some of these IPF meets, they have wrap rollers already at the meet, like
Oh, that's
provided.
sick. That's
We didn't have to
sick.
do. We didn't get that luxury at nationals. It was BYO, because we were
Yeah.
with Raw too.
Yep. Yep. So that you talked about a meet briefly when you, I believe it was Romania, when you said you got sick. Tell
Mhm.
me about that meet. What happened? How did that all unfold?
I got sick. Sick is an understatement. So I started feeling under the weather about a week and a half out. Mild respiratory, upper respiratory. I thought I had a cold. Didn't really go away with like the vitamin C and rest. So, and I'm trying to train into the meet still. And it's like, yeah, this probably isn't good for me. But went to urgent care. They told me, oh, you might have bronchitis. They did a throat swab. They gave me prednisone to clear my lungs up a bit, which was a little bit sketchy, because prednisone is technically a banned substance, but only if you take it like through blood. If it's oral, you can take it out of competition as long as there's a 3-day window between the last dose, which was, I did the math, it was good. But then it never went away, and I would be coughing like crazy, just like coughing. My voice was gone. I felt I could barely sleep because of all the coughing. And Monday night, I flew out Tuesday, the day before I was supposed to go to Worlds. They called me and said, you tested positive for pertussis, pneumonia, and staph all at once. Here's some antibiotics. I book it to the pharmacy before they closed to pick up the antibiotics and started hammering them. I wore a mask on the plane, and I'm just like, I'm fucking dying. Like, I'm just like, and then like, obviously when you're on antibiotics, you start sweating, your immune system's firing on all cylinders. So I lost a lot of water weight. I was weighing in, walking around about 393, 392 before that meet in training. And I weighed in at the meet at 386. And I was trying to eat, and it's just like, I'm fucking dying here. I had an inhaler and everything. And like, since pertussis, I don't even know where the hell they got it from, but since it's considered a reportable illness, the Denver Public Health Department called me when I was in Romania, like, hey, by the way, you should probably isolate yourself. And I had to have this, I'm in another country right now for a world meet. God bless international calling plans, but sorry to let you know that I traveled with it. I was wearing a mask, though. Well, it's good to hear you're wearing a mask. I would prefer if you didn't do that. The ship has sailed, buddy. I was going to do it. I mean, if I had to be life flighted over there, I would have done it, but.
Yep.
So I was just like, I was physically like so depleted that whole time. I thought I was cooked, but I pulled a good meet. I got fourth. I narrowly missed the deadlift for bronze. If I had made that 1,008 squat that I missed on depth, I would have only had to pull like, I think 345 or 342 kilos instead of 355, which I realistically probably would have been able to get.
Yeah. Sorry, brother. I'm spreading it. I don't have time to. I'm just gonna spread this thing around, man. We're just gonna spread the love here. But with your one thing I'm curious about too is when you first got to the IPF, your very first IPF meet versus now. Sometimes you can kind of get, as a competitor, you get very tunnel vision. You can get desensitized to these things. Is it, when you show up to these big IPF meets, is it still like kind of, I don't want to say overwhelming, but kind of just like the grand stage of it all, just kind of hard to take in? Or have you been like, I've done this before, I'm just going to do it again, it's no problem?
I've gotten more to that point.
Yeah.
Because it's business as usual.
Yeah.
I would say my first IPF meet ever was actually a Junior Worlds in Istanbul.
Mm.
And the horrible part is we weren't actually in Istanbul. We were like 2 hours away. That's kind of the bait and switch they do with IPF meets as well. Unfortunately, we were technically in the province of Istanbul. But this is like, they say that you're in Washington State. This is like saying that the meets in Seattle but you're gonna end up in Spokane instead. That's where the venue is.
Yeah.
You got duped. Sorry.
Yeah.
Or like you end up in Bellingham or something like that. Somewhere like that's not Seattle.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, that's when I got used to like the logistics behind international meets, which isn't fun. I mean, like sometimes like the transport, they either don't come or like they come in like ramshackle conditions. Like they gave us this like Mercedes Sprinter van and the fucking AC cut out like halfway through with no windows that were openable. And like it was in the middle of August, so it's hot. So and then I get to the venue and like some of the hotel rooms didn't have functioning AC. There was actually one of my teammates in a room where the cable was literally cut in half for the AC. Some of these folks were literally putting their beds outside to sleep putting their beds on the balcony to sleep because the AC, it was so hot. And like the breakfast buffet, they had, I don't know what they were, powdered eggs. I don't know. But that's where the nut cum joke comes from. If you see me post that nut cum hazelnut spread, that's what they had like this like Turkish Nutella, which is called nut cum. NUTKUM. I'm like, oh, we have nut cum here. We're good to go. I posted that in the store. That's been a running joke ever since. Especially now that we're going back to Turkey for Open Worlds. But from what I heard, it isn't this hotel. It's going to be a different one because this hotel was so bad. Everyone bitched a bit, and they were right to bitch about it because the venue was small. There was hardly any climate control. The food was abysmal. Like, they served onion rings for breakfast one morning. I guess they just ran out of ideas. I don't know. But that was like, okay, this is the IPF. There's glitz and glamour, but then logistically, sometimes they can't hack it. They're like trying to run an international meet. Yeah. I feel bad for them in that sense because they had to run that with very little notice. The first choice for 2022 Junior Worlds was actually in Russia, but then the war happened. They got rid of that. Then there was Ecuador. I don't know what happened with that, but they changed that within like 2 months, like 2 months out. So it was Turkey, and that was like the only place they could find to put the meet together in that short of order. And when that happens, you really can't help the conditions at that point. And then I went to my first Open Worlds like 2 months later, and it was in Denmark, and Denmark cares about powerlifting. It was in a brand new hotel, beautiful. They had like the fancy touchscreen espresso machines, and they had salmon and cheese for breakfast buffet, and the venue was beautiful. There was like 8 combo racks all spread out. Each country got their own combo rack. It was beautiful. So it's like, okay, maybe opens are better. Then my next, and I didn't have any international world experience until Lithuania, which it was fine. The problem is they said it was going to be in Vilnius, which is the capital of Lithuania, but it was actually in Druskininkai, which is like 2 hours away again.
Hell yeah.
And I don't know what, I got picked up in like an old Volkswagen van this time. Pure Baltic Eastern European vibes. And I'm getting picked up. I was the only person in the van. And it was cold this time because it was November in Europe. But I remember it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like listening to, I turned on some, I don't know who exactly does it, but have you ever heard like those like grungy guitar like songs with like Russian lyrics, it's usually paired with like brutalist videos of like Soviet architecture. I played that because we were in the ex-Soviet Union. I was looking at all these bills like, man, this is communist era stuff. I can tell. Yep. And like the dome light in that van kept turning on. It kept turning on, like on and off. And then the guy pulled over on the side of this random highway and was like trying to fix it and like slamming the door shut and everything. I'm like, oh my God, my gear's going to end up strewn over a Lithuanian highway. But we got there. It was an eerie drive too. Like I fell asleep halfway through it, and I woke up and the guy was listening to like a radio station that went from playing like rap music to Rihanna to no copyright sounds EDM music from 2015. It was just crazy. And then I didn't get official meet transport in Denmark because the transport didn't know to pick us up, and Joe Cap and I took a fucking cab to the venue from the airport. So like, the glitz and glamour and like, the oh cool hell yeah moments, like, it's there, but it gets easier to deal with. Because then you start dealing with the funny stuff that happens along the way, like the food situation, the hotel situations, the transport, Every
Yeah.
IPF lifter knows about the transport. It can't always be good. They loaded
Yeah.
all our shit into a trailer for Romania. I'm not kidding. They picked us. They
Jeez.
picked like 10 of us up in a van, and they had a trailer for our gear, which was like,
Holy
okay,
shit.
the
Yeah.
trailer made it.
Yeah, this is it, I guess.
And the guy was
So-
driving reckless as hell, though. I thought that trailer was going to come off.
Fuck yeah. So when you go to these different countries, do you have a decent amount of time to actually like go into the city, absorb the culture, like all that kind of stuff, be a tourist for lack of a better term? Or are you just like, you're locked in, it's like you got a couple days and that's it?
I do a little touristy stuff like the first day or so I'm there. But because I usually lift on the last day, I have to spend a lot of time saving energy.
Yeah.
So to do touristy stuff, I usually have to book a couple days after the meet. I don't go back on the 2 a.m. transport to the airport. I stay a couple days. And that's where you can do the touristy stuff. And that's unfortunate, but because I lift on the last day, the other weight class lifters, like, you know, if they're there until the super heavyweights go, you know, usually, and you lift like 3 days before them, then you have that tourist time. But I have to wait, you know, because I don't want to burn too much energy before I go out. It's not like locking in, but like, you know, I think of like activity as being like on a slight downward trend. Because obviously traveling there, your activity's at its highest. You're going through airports, you're walking the gates, you're on a plane. Planes suck ass.
Yeah.
Especially a 10-hour plane ride to Europe. And then, you know, it's a little bit, you're jet lagged. Usually we do a training session like the day or two leading in, like 2 days out is usually our last session, and it's just light bench. You get that taken care of, but then like you just bleed off your jet lag, eat better, drink better, sleep better. And then like the day before the meet, you really don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
You just want to get locked in and then you compete. So the touristy stuff happens after.
Those plane rides are fucking brutal. I went to New Zealand and it was like
That's
14
really
hours.
brutal.
I was like, dude, I'm never getting off this plane. Like, I'm just going to be up here forever. Like, this is fucking crazy. I hated it, dude. I hated it. It's fucking brutal.
You got service to Christchurch.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
18 hours.
It's so bad. Dude, it's
We'll be
so
serving
bad.
Vegemite
Yep.
on our way down.
It's fucking crazy.
You might see Antarctica.
Dude, so what do you... I like to ask people this too. What are you doing outside of the sport? Like, you got hobbies outside of the sport? Like, what are you doing when you're not powerlifting or working?
I mean, I'm kind of a recreational Rubik's Cube solver.
Okay. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Like not the best at it, but definitely decently good at it. I think my PB solve on a 3x3 is like 25 seconds.
Jeez.
And, you know, I usually do 5x5. It takes a little bit longer, a little bit more time. And, you know, it's a little bit of a, you know, different situation.
No problem, dude.
Moving back. Yes, about a 25-second solve on a 3x3. I usually do a 5x5 because it takes a little bit longer, a little bit more dexterity involved. So other than that, I'm more of a homebody. And like,
you're out there in Colorado, man. You got like a lot of nice hikes and stuff, a lot of mountains, a lot of that kind
I
of
do
stuff.
occasionally go for hikes, believe it
Yeah.
or not. Nothing too insane. I'm not
Yep.
climbing Long's Peak or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, driving out in like, you know, to the wilderness at night and like seeing the stars and stuff is cool.
Yeah.
You know, but like, and also occasionally play like some video games here and there, you know.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of Phasmophobia. I don't know if you've ever played that. It's a
No, I haven't.
ghost hunting video game. It's pretty good. I like
Ooh.
it. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that game.
Yeah.
Whether playing it with friends or by myself, I like doing it.
Yeah.
So you know, but like not a whole lot. You know, because being in powerlifting in my weight class, like trying to minimize extreme activities like that is probably a good thing. I will like also, because I live in Boulder, which is a really big bicycling city, riding my bike around.
Yeah.
You know, it's an e-bike, so if I need a little bit of assist, I will.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think you answered this on your like AMA on Instagram. You said you were a instructor. Is that right, for a career?
Yes, I train people in the transportation realm. I work for a nonprofit as a trainer, and what I do is not only classroom instruction behind the for new bus drivers. I also do like behind the wheel instruction. I also do like CDL training for like Class B, which is the CDL you need to drive a bus.
Yeah.
So it's not like semi trucks or anything, but I am a CDL instructor, and we have to adhere to basically the same rules as trucking. It's all universal federal regulations and stuff.
Yep. Yeah. So tell me also if you've ever had an interest in, because you are a big dude. Have you ever had any interest in strongman?
Believe it or not, I actually did an amateur strongman show back in my teens.
Okay.
I
How'd that go?
I wasn't great at it. I mean, all the overhead stuff I never really had access to. Like, this was when I was still training at a commercial gym. So like my circus dumbbell experience was using one of the dumbbells at the gym, which then you get a circus dumbbell, it's like all the way out to here, and you're like, oh great. I
Yeah.
did really well at the frame carry, which was frame deadlift for reps, because obviously it was fucking misloaded. Because
Yeah.
every local strongman shows something's wrong. And this was back in the Wild West days where like they didn't have Iron Podium or any other scoring software, so everything was done on pen and paper, posted on the far corner of a gym. I'm like, yeah, this is a little bit more grungy than what I'm used to, but I was cool with it. Believe it or not, Brian Shaw showed up. That was fun. He just randomly showed up to look at the show. This was like a few years ago when he still did all that stuff. I think now he really doesn't make spontaneous appearances like that.
Yeah.
I guess because the money's somewhere else. Because there are people that will pay him a lot of money to be somewhere, so he's not just going to randomly appear for free, I don't think.
Yeah.
But this was like in 2017. But like, as far as, that kind of turned me away from strongman, because I'm like, this is like organizationally impossible to navigate. I know a lot of people who do strongman, and I'm a fan of watching strongman. I think it's cool, and I respect what they do, but I can't do it myself. I'm not a fan of it. It's also like the psychological worry that I'm going to get hurt, like badly hurt in a way that would affect my regular life.
Yeah. And do you ever have that same type of feeling when you're crawling under like over 1,000 pounds, or does the equipment kind of give you that extra sense of security?
Not when I'm squatting, believe it or not. The one fear I have is bench. It's
Really?
it's a rare injury, but you've seen it happen. Forearm breaks. I don't want that to ever happen. That's what I'm paranoid about. And that's why I'm so delicate and slower in my progression. And I also do a lot of heavy board work as well.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you're not only acclimating your triceps to push more weight, you're also acclimating your bones to hold more weight. But drinking your weight in milk can also help with that. A lot of calcium goes a long way.
Yeah, dude.
Like Jimmy Cole did the coral calcium, but what else can you say? He's put 1,500 pounds in his hands.
Yeah.
So, and I hear stories like, Blaine Sumner said when he benched 1,000, he felt like his forearms were bending. It's like, oh Jesus, that's the one thing I'm worried about. There was a Canadian guy at Canadian Nationals last year who broke his arm on a bench. He was like trying 744 and his arm snapped in half. And he actually benched 705 at this year's Nationals. He came back pretty quickly. I don't know how. Mentally, I wouldn't want to do it again. Like,
fucking terrifying.
I would be so gun shy to even try. Like, I'm like, oh shit, are the pins and rods in my arm going to hold after that? So that's what I'm really worried about. So it's not anything that I feel with squats, because one thing that could happen on a squat that can hurt you is your soup blows out. But I feel like, because I train in the gym with toe straps, like toe straps will catch it. And if I'm at a meet, the spotters would try to slow it down a bit or just at least give me enough time to get away from it. But aside from like a hip or knee or soft tissue injury, I don't really feel as much risk for that. But not only because like I feel like, it's unlikely statistically because I train pretty intelligently, but also as a drug-free athlete, the tendency for your ligaments and tendons to not be outgrown by your muscles, it kind of grows at the same rate and it progresses at the same way. So like, what you see a lot with the untested people is like their muscles get so big and so strong, but their joints can't keep up and they just snap, which I don't think I'll have a problem with, knock on wood.
Yeah, it happens all the time. You see that a lot on the untested side, man. Guys just going way too balls to the wall, not really understanding that those tendons and ligaments are a lot more frail than those muscles that they built up. And it's not good at all. Speaking of which, this might be a good advertisement for Titan. Have you ever had a shirt or suit blow out before on you?
I've had runners, but I've never had a blowout. I've had like seams pop, little holes forming here and there that are easily fixed, but I've
Yeah.
never had a full-on blowout. Knock on wood. So far, so good.
Yeah.
Now, Inzer equipment can blow out on you. I've never personally experienced it, but I've seen the Inzer bolts blow out, the TRXs blow out. I was actually swimming I used to wear a TRX. I was swimming myself in a TRX, like hanging off a rack, and the fucking like suit strap like split open. I'm like, dude, this shit's not made for anything heavy. Like, I mean, and then people have like the Inzer knee sleeves, the Ergo Pros. You see stories of people where those tear open. Those Ergo Pros just split apart. You know?
Yeah, and I've seen that before, because when I watch the IPF stuff, I remember when I see like a bolt or like something that's not Titan, because it's so just like it sticks out like a sore thumb, because it's like Titan is everything in the IPF, like everything is Titan. But that speaks to like the efficacy of the equipment, you know, and the quality.
It's the best quality equipment you can ever ask for when it comes to single ply. I'm not saying that just because I'm sponsored by them. I am, but humble brag. I'm saying that from a customer standpoint as well, paying for their gear, because I've never had to worry about them blowing out, or like you use it like 2-3 times and then it just doesn't give you any more. I have like almost 3-4-year-old bench shirts that have seen multiple meet preps that still have a good amount of pop to them. Same with suits. They don't wear out as much. You know, as long as you take them in after they stretch out a bit, you're fine. You know, they last forever if you take good care of them.
And that's another question too. It's like, how often are you changing out shirts and suits and things like that? Like, are you buying new shirts and suits pretty frequently, or is it like now?
Once or twice a year, just so I have fresher equipment. Like, just because, like, you know, eventually it does give you less carryover and you want something stiffer and newer, fresher material. And when that time comes, that's when you get more gear.
Yeah. And for like something like the shirt, you have a shirt for training and then a shirt for the meet? Is that right?
I have a backup shirt that I use in training, but then I have like a meet shirt.
Okay.
And the meet shirt's usually tighter and more, you know, more aggressive. Backup shirt is like, if anything were to happen to that main shirt, I can still touch and press my opener in it. You know, it may not be the perfect day, but it's better than bombing.
Yep. Yeah, seriously.
So.
And another thing is a lot of people might overcompensate on the accessories or put too much worry into, you know, what the accessories could or should be. But with that, a lot of people lose the specificity of the 3 big lifts. So if you're going in, let's just say you're going in for a shirted bench day. Outside of the shirted bench, after that, what are you doing?
Nothing.
That's it.
Not kidding. Nothing.
Wow.
And that's because I'm using so much energy in my equip sessions, because they're not just like, okay, we're doing the top single and that's it. Like, we're working up in the shirt, we're doing like 4 to 5 singles sometimes, like 2 touch, and then like 2 board for like 2 to 3 more singles, and then squatting in gear for like doubles and triples before that. So I've been in there for a while. If I do anything, it's more blood flow specific. It's not like heavy accessories. I'm talking like some tricep extensions, some bicep curls, just light to get blood flow in there to like remove tendonitis, or like not remove tendonitis, but like calm it down a bit. But my issues with tendonitis, which usually have been in like my elbows and forearms, they've gotten better. You know, I feel like I have tight shoulders, so like the more I warm up those shoulders before I lift, and like, you know, the more like prehab I do on it, it just kind of subsides.
Do you leverage any of the like recovery modalities at all, like deep tissue, cryo, like anything like that?
Not really. Like, you know, for me, it's like taking fish oil and glucosamine, and occasionally ibuprofen, and, you know, lacrosse balling it. I'm not doing like any of the expensive shit.
What about we've talked kind of a little bit about it before. What about like let's say your biggest pet peeve in the sport of powerlifting? If you could just be like, all right, we're gonna get rid of this. You're king of powerlifting for an entire day. What are you gonna get rid of?
Backyard feds. Sorry, not sorry. Holy Wars is gone. Your Holy War was fought and you lost.
How could you?
I just I can't tolerate it. You know, there's good untested organizations out there that hold people to a high standard, like ABS,
Yeah.
USPA is pretty decent.
Yeah.
WRPF is pretty decent, but like all these other ones, just like go, why?
Yeah.
You're weighing like I know of these meets where like the weigh-ins, you text the meet director your weight, and that's your weight. You're like, okay, fuck it, it's all good. We're not even doing a 24-hour weigh-in. We're just, what's your body weight? About 120 kilos. Wink. Set a world record.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's crazy, man. It's bad. It's bad for the sport. I think it's really bad for the sport overall.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest pet peeves. Another pet peeve is like multiply squats that are technically unlimited squats. If you're wearing like a 3-ply brief and a 3-ply suit, that's unlimited. I don't know where you're getting off that's multiply. So I think that multiply should be like 3 plies or less, in my opinion. This like quintuple band shirts, it's just like, and then the suits are starting to get that way now. It's just like, this is insane. It's getting out of control.
Yeah, and it's crazy too how the script will get flipped when you call out people for not having standards. It's like you'll be like, "Look, man, like we should have some fucking standards," and then the retaliation to that is just like trying to steel man bad standards, and it's like, "Oh, you're just talking shit. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about, bro." And it's like, no, you're damaging the sport that I actually give a fuck about. Like, are you gonna make fun of me for caring about something? Like, that's weird. Like, I actually give a shit about the sport. I want it to do well. I like people that represent the sport well. You know what I mean?
Like you were harking out, like your claim that I'm the face of single ply. I don't really understand where that came. I guess I'm more active on social media.
Yeah,
I feel like that's probably why, because there are a lot more for Americans, like Ian Bell, complete legend. Noah Johnson is a rising legend. I mean, but I love them, but you're right. I post more on Instagram, so that fuels the algorithm. And my competitors on the international level, there's some that no one knows about because they just never post.
Yeah.
Like Victor Hollonay, who won Worlds last year with a 1207.5 kilo total. He's 25. He hit like a 1065 squat, a 793 bench, and like an 815 deadlift. Guy's insane. Crazy. And then we all know Ray Bowring, who's like 3 years younger than me.
Yep.
Second person to squat 500 kilos in the IPF. Also has a good bench, 771, monster deadlift, like 820, 830. He's going to be a problem. He's been Article 14 suspended, which is like the one other thing I'd get rid of with the IPF, playing devil's advocate here against the IPF, is getting rid of Article 14. Yeah. I would not want to be bound. I mean, that's the sucky part about being in the IPF is that you're kind of married to it. And you can't get out of that. If you compete anywhere else, you have to take a year suspension, which is what happened to Ray Bowring, even though he had a full ride scholarship at Midland. And the condition was you had to compete USAPL. You couldn't get out of that. The IPF didn't give a shit, and they had the Article 14. So he wasn't able to do Lithuania last year, even though he had been done with the USAPL for several months at that point. I think it's stupid. I mean, if you're going to want a cool down period, at least do it for like untested. But if you're coming from another tested fed to the IPF, you should be able to just jump right in. It's stupid. Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense. Speaking of the tested, how often are you getting tested? Do you just get tested at the meet, or is there out of competition testing too?
Currently, it's just at meets, and I haven't been tested in almost 2 years. I don't know how that happened. WADA is weird with who they select. We like to play duck, duck, goose with who gets tested. We were walking off stage for medal ceremonies at nationals. Like, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? It's like, because the USADA people are right there. It's like, who's getting the tap on the shoulder? It wasn't me this time. As far as out of meet is concerned, I know you talked to Jesse and I know you talked to Jared, and they have been out of meet tested. And that's because they were in the World Games. World Games athletes get put in the testing pool. And I think Sheffield athletes get put in the testing pool. But it's a lot of money and resources to track people down out of comp. Not saying that's never going to happen to me, because it probably will, but currently I haven't gotten there yet. Being on like the regular world team isn't enough to get put on the testing pool.
Yep. Yeah, another thing too that kind of leans into you being like kind of like the face, like I said, of the American single ply is also you're brash. Like you're not afraid to speak your mind. You're not afraid. You're very opinionated. These type of things tend to be very alluring, no matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter
People
what
love a good
profession
shit
you're in.
talker.
Yep, exactly. And not
People-
only that, but someone that can back it up. And that's you. Like, who the fuck, who's going to say anything to you? It's like,
Nope.
well, fuck, man.
Nobody.
Like,
And when they
it's
look
like-
at my lifts, they're gonna realize I'm not just like some random guy with a 200 dots talking smack about, you know, the problems of the sport. I legitimately, I've invested a lot of time in powerlifting. My time, my money, my effort, a lot of my energy, my personal life. You know, these sessions are long. You know, and like when I was in the USAPL, I was really heavily invested in local meets as well. Even as a national level competitor, I would go to spot and load, referee. With Powerlifting America, you know, obviously there's not a lot of presence in Colorado. My plan is to at least at one point, with a lot going on, you know, it's hard to get it all put together, but run a Powerlifting America meet in Colorado to establish presence here. But like, you know, before then I would be helping out at meets. Like I helped out a lot at the 2021 high school teen nationals. I did everything. I helped set up the warm-up room, load in. I helped set up the live stream, ran and commentated the live stream, spot and loaded it, and tore everything down. I spent like a whole week in Aurora, you know, helping out at that meet and also local meets and stuff. And like I've given a lot back to the sport. So I feel like I've earned my chops to talk about the things going wrong. When I see these, and I know that, I mean, a lot of multiply lifters both hate me and love me at the same time, I feel. The single ply lifters are chill, you know, but like from the multiply non-IPF side, I feel like I'm a little bit more controversial to them because I'll come into their posts when they do like their not to depth squats, and I just like, that shit's high. You know, fucking the refs are blind. You know, you know who passed these squats? What kind of bench was that? Like, you know, I start coming in, I just start laying into them, and I'm like, but. You know, I'm thinking more from like, what is this doing to the sport? You know, because they're going to turn around, you know, people are going to see those squats and benches. They're going to turn around. They're going to attack single ply lifters in the IPF. And that hurts us. You know, if there's this whole conversation, how do we make Equip marketable? Well, sure as shit, don't let that be seen. There's some people that think that that's better for Equip because, you know, it pushes the limits more. But for God's sake, make it like the old WPO from like 20 years ago. They went all the way down. Brian Carroll squatted to depth. Chuck Vogelpohl squatted to depth. All these legendary lifters squatted to depth. There was none of this like, you know, take it down 2.5 inches and curtsy with it shit that's going on now. You know, let's call a spade, you know, a high squat's a high squat.
I mean, Gene Reichlach as one of the fucking
Gene
smoothest, nicest. God, that 1,000 multiply was so sick. It was so good and it was buried. And it's like, there's no excuse not to do it. And it sucks too, because if someone like you comes into the comments and you want to be on the other side of that, and you're like, man, fuck this guy. You go to his profile and you're like, oh, God damn it. Like, well, I guess I can't reply. I guess I'll just delete this.
Being a backyard fed lift, let's say you just did the IPA meet and you got a PR total in multiply, and then you look in your notifications, then the Piston is commenting on your post. What is in the Piston comment? What did he say? The referees are blind. Who the hell passed that squat? Bad news. It's just straight bad news. Like I show up, and then like, you know, when you pair me up with like Paul Stein, who's also a shit talker, you know, we feel like we're like the Statler and Waldorf of powerlifting. We're just like we're joking that we should commentate the WPO and just start talking shit. So that guy looks like he's gonna have a heart attack.
Right.
How many oxygen tanks do you think are on backstage? I'm surprised the concentration of CPAP machines didn't take out the power grip. It's like that opening scene of West Side versus the World with Dave Hoff. And he comes off the platform and he walks over to his fucking oxygen compressor and puts on the cannula and goes, welcome to powerlifting. Just wearing oxygen.
Let's go, dude. Fuck yeah.
And then I got into like an argument about that with somebody too. So you don't know what max effort is. It's like, that's because he's pushing it. Like, dude, I've done max effort squats. I've never had to get on an oxygen cannula. Maybe because I'm born in Colorado and we're at altitude. I don't know. You know, but I've never felt the need to put oxygen on. Part of me wants to do it for the bit. as like a prank, especially because like we're lifting with raw lifters now at nationals that just like do like the most extreme equipped behavior just to troll the raw, like wearing like the flame beanies and smoking cigarettes in the back.
Yeah, dude.
You know, that's the
Hell
shout out
yeah.
Bill Coyne. Oh my God, we were talking about that. Well, should we get Robert Keller to let us smoke in the back? I don't know if we're gonna go that far. I mean, they're smoking in the casinos downstairs. You know, they hold all these meets at like Nevada casino hotels now. But you know, I don't think they'll let you come up here and smoke.
Yeah, little Marlboro patch on your fucking singlet, just like
Oh yeah, no, I know. Austin Brown, who was a 105 kilo bencher, also a elite iron lifter, coached by Townsend. He legit had coke in his mouth at a couple IPF meets on the platform.
Fuck yeah, dude.
He'd pack a coke and you go out
Hell
there.
yeah.
You can kind of tell a little bit, but it's like no one knows. Past the technical controller, it's fine. You know, it looks like you have a mouthpiece in. That's all it does. But it's coke. You know, before weighing, it's like, I gotta pass the coke.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I love it. He don't do zins. He does coke. He does coke.
Yep.
He does the chewing tobacco. He doesn't do the mouth pillows. You know?
Welcome to single ply.
Welcome to single ply. Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude.
That's the other pet peeve I have now with the raw lifters is I really saw it like on our side, the IPF side is like all these raw lifters, every single one of them seems to be an influencer now. And they have like their 4K cameras and their people recording them. It's like they need to set up a content creator credential because this is getting ridiculous. You're in the warm-up room trying to get your shit done, and it's already tight back there. And then now you have to dodge like cinema cameras that cost more than your car, you know. So let's you know, I'm worried. I'm scared shitless of like one being in their frame and then possibly getting mad at me, but also like bumping into them and like knocking a camera over or knocking a microphone over. Like my dad comes from like a videography, like, you know, video editing background, so I know how much all that costs, and it's not cheap. You know, and I've done some of that myself, and it's not cheap. So, but it's like, come on, you know. We're trying to.
What are we here to do?
But that's a perfect framing in the background. Changing out of my bench shirt, getting my deadlift suit on. I'm in my underwear, covered in bruises, sweating like a hog because it's so hot in there, and like swimming into this tight polyester singlet. That's the perfect background to like some raw lifter. You know, James Townsend and I were all joking about like, well, man, the weigh-ins are taking forever. Yeah, and then he's like, it was James Townsend. Yeah, because they're back there. All right, I'm going to weigh in now. I got my camera on. I'm talking. He's got a really thick Southern accent.
Soon they're going to have like a makeup chair back there so you can really get into
ring lights.
Fuck.
You know, pre-workout samplers. They got the little booth set up. I'm trying to lift, dude. I can barely stand my wrap roller up back in there, and there's people with their like stabilizers and cameras.
Oh, dude. Yeah. It's like, what are we really here to do? I mean, Jesus, are we shooting a fucking movie? What's going on here, man?
Pretty much. I mean, I don't really refute the social media game in powerlifting. I understand that that's kind of why it's so popular. But in my head, it makes the wrong people popular. It makes like the worst people you know popular. It doesn't make people that are legitimately talented lifters. Some of them are legitimately talented lifters. Don't get me wrong. There's lifters with a huge social media following that are just like out of this world strong. Like Cranen Warford, she's like insane. She, I think she got like within a kilo of or beat Agata Shitko's deadlift, which is insane. You know, so I get like, you know, you want to promote yourself on social media, but the problem lies when everybody and their mother and their dog at the meet starts doing it. Then it becomes so badly, like I've seen camera crews at meets before. I've been around the block with Raw as well. But it's never been this bad. I've never seen just like some random first time at nationals lifter in one of the non-primetime sessions where it's Grand Central Station and they still have a camera.
I think for me that would be like distracting, dude. Like if I'm there to lift. Like it would be, even if I brought the camera crew, like it'd be fucking weird. Like it's just, it seems so weird, dude.
They got the microphone clipped to their singlet when they go out.
Oh no!
The DJI mic kind of tucked into their shirt.
Oh my gosh, dude, that's so fucking crazy.
They've already been nerfed. They can't chew their chains anymore. They can't shove a dog tag in their mouth.
They're pissed about that, dude. Yeah, I saw a lot of people mad about that one.
And that's another thing.
Can't have a snack
get rid of
while you're
entirely. The ones that are The ones that are lighter do this a lot now.
Yeah.
No backflips. If
Oh,
you
yeah.
get off the platform and do a backflip, you should be disqualified from the meet. You could take out a spotter loader. You could land on your head and die. You could break your neck and be Chris Reeves for the rest of your life. There's a lot of things that could happen.
Yeah.
One of my friends, good guy, he's backroom legend, Jordan Coomer, also does a lot of spotting loading as well at local meets in Georgia. He was running to get a deadlift jack while loading a deadlift, and this guy does a backflip, and he felt the guy's shoe like brush by his head. I'm like, come on, you're gonna hurt somebody.
Dude,
you know,
what the fuck?
It's showboating.
Yeah.
You know, now the IPF has a rule where it's like you cannot celebrate excessively in a manner that violates the integrity of the sport, which the way it's worded is so subjective because basically it reduces it to no fun allowed. I get the emotion and elation that comes from PRing on a major lift. We volunteer. This is a hobby sport in a way, you know, because like you're paying to do it. You're spending a lot of your own time, your own money to do it. And when you hit a big PR, you want to celebrate that. And sometimes people are just so outwardly ecstatic, they're going to be emotional and stuff. But you got to draw a line. Throwing your belt is unprofessional. You could hurt somebody. You could damage your belt as well, but that's the least of your worries. Imagine a belt flying at you when you're trying to come out for your deadlift. Backflips, same thing. But like there's rules like don't walk out in front of the bar. Why? Are we Russian now? Like, don't step over the bar. Why? You know, I was actually on vacation in Switzerland, I believe. There was a gym there called Barbell Club Lancourt. It's still open, even though it's not in the same place. This gym was for real, like in the upper floor of a mechanic's garage. And I stepped over a bar in there, and the guy got pissed. This other guy in there, this Austrian, this giant jacked Austrian dude. It's like, say sorry to the bar. I'm like, that's more of like an Irish accent. It's like, say sorry, apologize to the bar. Okay, I'm sorry. And when I was there, I never stepped over a bar. But like back here with how crap these warm-up rooms are, I'll step over a bar. I'll step over 2 bars. You know, there's like so much going on back there. You don't really have room. You know?
Yeah, definitely a lot of cultural differences there.
Oh yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I try to respect them when they're, you know, when in Rome, do as the Romans do, you know.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, man. But wrapping up here, dude, is there anything that I did not touch on that you wanted to cover or talk about?
Not really. We touched on a lot.
Yeah.
It was a good session to shoot the shit with you and all that.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, I was very excited to talk to you, man. I've been a spectator for a little bit of your powerlifting career. Nothing short of fucking incredible. It's always nice. It's always fun. I was just talking to a Roman RPFML about this last night, about how you...
We might get on Tales from the Warm-Up Room, too, see what happens.
Yes, which that absolutely should be a thing.
Shout out Roman. Shout out Anthony.
Yep. Both amazing guys. I mean, they're just two incredible dudes. But I was talking to Roman yesterday about how important people like you and him and the younger people that just like carry the sport with such a good standard. You
without
know what I mean?
chopping chains.
Yep, exactly.
Without chopping chains, without the broccoli hair, without the elbow wraps.
Yep.
You know,
and you're squatting and dabs.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. Wrapping up though, you know, I'm looking forward to Worlds. I know it's so many months away. The battle between myself, Ray Bowring, and Victor Hollinet is going to be immense. And next year at Nationals, who knows? I think Jared Martin might be coming back, and domestically, me versus Jared Martin would be a really, really fun battle. I'm looking forward to.
That would be fucking sick.
It would be sick.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely, man. But plug your social media where people can find you, interact with you, follow you.
You can find me on Instagram. That's basically where I'm active. Zen the Piston. It's at zen.the.piston. So it's Zen the Piston. Very easy to find. Shout out Titan Support Systems, Titan Power 81 on Instagram. My equipment sponsor, best gear in the game for single ply especially. And thank you again for having me on the Rainier Strength Podcast.
Absolutely, bro.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, we'll talk soon. Thanks, bro.
Wonderful. Thank you. Bye-bye.
See ya.